So we have this in showbiz, sports, and some of your comments coming up in a moment. I'm Gifty and Doapia to stay. To begin with, residents of some communities resettled to make way for construction of the Bui Dam in the Bonahafo region are unhappy about losing their livelihoods. While the farmers say they have less fertile farmlands in the new area, the fisher folks are complaining about the long distances they have to travel to access the reservoir formed when the black water was impounded.
In all, 7 villages were affected and resettled on either side of the Black Volta, which separates the northern region from the Brongahafo region. This places the Bui Dam between the two regions. The Bui and Bato Akonyakrom communities used to be in the middle of the river, close to the mountain, but the two communities were submerged when the Black Volta was impounded. The Dokochina community, I'm told, was beyond the mountain, close to the Ghana Ivory Coast boundary. So they had to be relocated because they were isolated from the rest of us, and they would have had to use ferry to connect to us, or alternatively use road through Côte d'Ivoire to get into the country. The people of Bui and Dokochina are predominantly farmers, while the mainly Ewe folks of Bato Akanyakrom are fishermen. Though residents of these communities acknowledge the better housing Bui Power Authority has provided, they claim the new area hardly supports their primary occupations.
We as the fishing community, we weren't happy to go far away from the lake. So we were hoping that we'll be positioned at a place. You know, fishermen, even you can go on fishing at any moment at your own will. Afternoon, evening, even in the night.
How far are you from the lake now?
It's about 5 to 6 kilometers away from the lake.
So how do you manage to get there and come back?
It's quite challenging. This had made most of us to withdraw, to resign, to terminate our work.
Their homes were very close to the river in their old villages. But now, due to the distance, both the young and old mostly depend on these tricycles, which have become quite popular. Mohammed Ali, who is said to be the chief farmer in Dokochina, claims he had thousands of cashew trees planted on 120 acres of land, as well as 30 acres of yam. He says he also grew cassava and maize. However, he laments he was not well compensated by the BPA for the huge amount of crops he lost when his village was relocated.
70 trips.
70 cashew trees.
Cashew diabacono. And ye biano, bitumania bese half bag. It was so. Auntie, I don't know half bag on crying ye build the codjasa by our mess cashew diabacubiano, bitumania 500,000. Compensation no so mutua ma no mutua me ohwa me de no me check ye no akwa say cashew dua ku bia 8 cedis cashew no compensation any bayire no any bank na ni nyina akoye 1 billion.
According to him, about 16 acres of land on which he now grows maize, cassava and yam at the resettlement area lacks fertility, making cultivation difficult. Bato Akanyakrom's head fishmonger Comfort Duodo tells me her mud grill has not been busy for months because they no longer enjoy bumper harvest fishing in the reservoir.
I'm over for reservoir. Now the new son at Titi or the population was of Banade and Titi or Mongal and Antamagalio. Gear no 1 yamili. Over no gamma conficie, gamma's war boy vision. Like a mere day and a BP, I mean, big gamma no, Benemiano gamma, tiny Mugula gamma. Mummy bog by you, and sick be Mumiaga that a bog by you, Tamili. If you have a put that I she no buy a comical school fees who have met empty. I look a I'm your muscle, but I got a mechanical if you have, you know. Okay, when I took a
she's not alone in her misery. The stories to threats of livelihoods were echoed by several members of the communities. The BPA, however, insists it has provided an appreciable amount of infrastructural and financial support to affected communities, bearing in mind their great sacrifices that made the Bui Dam a reality.
Before the communities were resettled, what we did was that we help them get a farmland. So before they were moved, they had been given a new farm area and given financial support. Each household was given a financial support of a 70 Ghana cedi. That was, at that time, was enough to help them till 2 acres of farmland. All the 3 communities that are here agreed that they want to be resettled here. It's not a case that they were forcefully brought to the resettlement, and we have letters to that effect.
That notwithstanding, the communities want the kind of development that goes beyond the provision of beautiful houses.
This settlement package goes along with livelihood empowerment. And the livelihood empowerment, everybody is now talking about industrialization. And since the dam has been constructed, small-scale farming can be introduced. And before that even, the government will have to, train our people here, give them some sort of training. Maybe in the application of fertilizers, giving them credit facilities. And then creating storage facilities, as well as the training even can also be a way against post-harvest losses.
All that residents desire is an enabling environment where the youth can pick up skills and knowledge, an environment full of job opportunities, and a community alive with commercial activities. From the Bui Power Authority resettlement, Adelaide Arthur for Joy News.
And back in the studio, I am Gifty Andoapia. Now, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced new tariff figures which take effect from the 1st of January 2014. Electricity has been increased by 9.7% across the board, and water is up by 6.80%. The latest figures, according to the PURC, is as a result of the full implementation of the automatic adjustment formula. Factors that influence the automatic adjustment formula include price of crude oil on the international market, the cedi to dollar exchange rate, the rate of inflation, amongst others. Earlier on The Big Story, some energy experts and consumer rights advocates spoke on the hikes. Well, we'll bring you that one later on. But the Director of Policy and Research at the African Center for Energy Policy, John Peter Amewu, says the PURC should consider industries in arriving at the automatic adjustment formula. Reacting to the announcement of tariff hikes expected in 2014, Peter Amewu suggested increment over a long period instead of quarterly adjustment. He spoke on The Big Story.
Suggests that it could be done, based on a long-term marginal cost pricing rather than a short-term, automatic adjustment as we'll be witnessing. Well, the automatic adjustment is just an indication that certain price indexes within the build-up have changed. Okay, and so what that means is that if you're able to estimate that over 1 year period, you could at the same time be able to fix the price 2 times in a year. There is nothing wrong about that. It can be done. You only need to be very clear on your realistic estimation. If you're able to get that figure, it can easily be done rather than, constant adjustment mentally or every 3 months or whatever it is. That will save a lot of inconveniences to the industry. Is going to suffer, and as much as the industry suffer, the multiplier effect in terms of employment, productivity will eventually also fall. So as much as we are critical of increasing tariffs in terms of our utility, we should try to look into the need of the industry also, which is very critical, so that they are not affected so much in terms of their level of productivity.
Now, the Chief Executive of the Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito, says consumers would not be better off under the implementation of the automatic adjustment formula announced by the PURC today. He said the PURC is unable to sanction utility companies for inefficient and poor services, therefore leaving consumers at the receiving end of the poor service.
I agree with the fact that we have to do it every quarterly. Unfortunately, if we're going to review these things every quarterly, then I would say that salaries and wages of workers should also be adjusted every quarterly. Look, there's something called ability to pay.
Right.
This idea that somebody sits in his or her office and thinks because he has the mandate because his job is to look and adjust. That does not mean that you have to do it. We are in a country that basically, you see, it's unfortunate like Ghanaians are not as angry as other countries around us. You remember a few years ago in Nigeria, when the government decided to take away the subsidy on the fuel, what happened? People took to the streets. Unfortunately, it looks like Ghanaians, we don't even want to fight for causes that matters to us. So obviously, the utility, I would say, for maybe within 4 or 5 months, has been increased over close to 90%.
Exactly.
Because the last time was 78.9 and plus 9%. We are looking about close to 90%.
Right.
Excuse my French. Which product in the world is increased by 90% in 6 months?
So a lot of debates going on there about what the PURC had done today, but let's do some health-related stories now. The committee tasked to investigate the alleged importation of fake drugs by Tobacco Pharmaceuticals has identified administrative lapses on the part of the Food and Drugs Authority. According to its findings, the Food and Drugs Authority failed in its mandate to ensure imported drugs go through the right procedure for checking their efficacy.
The 5-member committee set up by the Ministry of Health on October 27 was mandated to investigate and make recommendations to the ministry on the alleged importation of fake drugs by Tobacco Pharmaceuticals. Chaired by the Deputy Minister for Health, Dr. Alfred Sugritia, the committee identified administrative lapses on the part of the FDA.
We realize that there's a drug registration committee within the Food and Drugs Authority. That committee is to register drugs, those who want to import drugs, generic drugs or other types of drugs. But that committee hardly met. In fact, we realized that for 4 years it never met. We also realized that there wasn't transparency when applications were sent to the Food and Drugs Authority for permits to import these drugs. No fake drug or spurious drugs or substandard drug can enter this country if the Food and Drugs Authority is up and doing what they're supposed to be doing.
The committee further recommended the ministry put in place an effective monitoring system to check the operations of the Food and Drugs Authority. The committee also called for collaboration between the FDA and other stakeholders in the industry to create an enabling environment for the importation of drugs. The Minister for Health, Sherry Aite, stressed the findings will be made available to the Attorney General for the next line of action.
The reports will be admitted, the recommendations will be implemented without prejudice to anybody. We will write to the Attorney General's Department to assign us with a legal expert so that we can immediately develop the legislative instrument to back Act 851, of the Food and Drugs Authority. With such information available, we would be able to make sure that we strengthen the procedures, we improve the capacity of the regulatory authority to act in the interests of Ghanaians.
The ministry is also calling for a disciplinary action against senior regulatory officer at the FDA, Samuel Asante-Boateng, on the basis of conflict of interest in the discharge of his duties.
The committee also established that Mr. Samuel Asante-Boateng, acting head of the Pharmaceutical Industrial Support Department of the Food and Drugs Authority, also acted as a consultant of Entrance Industries and Research Center, a subsidiary company of Tobacco Pharmaceutical Limited, which is clearly a conflict of interest and violates Article 284 of the Constitution of the 1992 and the Public Service Regulations. So based on that, the ministry will write to the board to take the necessary disciplinary action.
Let's stay with health a little more. And in another development, the Director of Procurement at the Ministry of Health, Samuel Boateng, has discounted media reports suggesting the ministry has imported fake condoms into the system through a third party. He denies the ministry has any hand in the importation of those condoms.
I say categorically that we have not imported any condoms through the bingo. The consignment of condoms to the Ministry of Health ostensibly to take advantage of our permits, which was being handled by Ghana Tobacco Company. And the issue has been picked by the security agencies and are being investigated. But to add to what the Honourable Minister said, the Ministry of Health has not imported any condom through any third party. That is the truth.
You're still watching the Primetime Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. We take a quick break, and when we return, we still have some more. And still to come, local poultry farmers are worried over cheap poultry products. This and many more when we return. You're welcome back. The Ghana Police Service says it will be stepping up its presence in Accra this Yuletide to ensure criminal activities are discouraged as much as possible. It is as a result recalling all officers currently on leave and announced a motorbike patrol system.
Briefing Joy News about their plans for the Yuletide, Accra Regional Commander DCOP Christian Tete Yohonu said the measures are meant to ensure a crime-free Christmas.
We increase police presence in the marketing area. We make sure that at the bus stops and everything, we are going to beef up security at the lorry stations, bus stops, where people catch buses. There are usually people when after catching money at the bank, before they come out, there's a motorbike, some two men on the motorbike waiting. So before you can say, Jack, where are you? They have already snatched your handbag, and on a motorbike with gun, and then they run away. So this time we have also introduced motorbikes patrol system.
He said the motorbike patrol system would add to police visibility and help effectively counter the activities of criminals who tend to get away on motorbikes.
They will be all over and we have about 32 police districts. 32 police districts within Accra. So we have Odoko having their own motorbike patrols. We have Dansoma having their motorbike patrol. So make sure that we have covered everywhere. We tax all the districts within Accra to make sure that everybody operate motorbikes, and they are all doing so, and it's moving further. And that is also supporting the work of the vehicular patrols, the snap checks, and the visibility points to make sure that we bring crime to the lowest level.
Despite the measures, DCOP Yohonu said members of the public also have a duty to ensure their personal safety.
Make sure you report any incident. If it happens to your neighbor, be the person to give direction to the police to the location. So you, the victim on the attack, immediately you sense danger, just call your next neighbor on phone. Call the person and tell them that my house is under attack, period, you finish. Because of that neighborhood relationship, he also knows that, oh yes, I have to respond. So he will be doing all the communication to bring the police to the location.
The public is also being encouraged to report any suspicious persons or activities in their communities.
Well, the National Road Safety Commission in the Bunahafo region is warning communities against mounting unauthorized speed ramps. At the launch of its Christmas road safety campaign, the Commission reminded the traveling public and drivers to be careful on the road.
The poor attitude of drivers of the Gosso main station was evident as most of them stayed away from the sensitization program. It had to take the intervention of the police to get the drivers involved. According to the road safety records, the Snafo North municipal area is prone to accidents. When the launching got underway, the Bunahafo regional manager of the National Road Safety Commission, Mensa Abrampai Jabing, expressed worry at the increasing number of unauthorized speed ramps, which he said is a major cause of road crashes. He told the drivers to be extra careful on approaching communities. Mensa Abrampa Ajabing gave an overview of the road safety situation in the Bonahafo region over the past 11 months.
For the year 2013, the first quarter, that's the first 3 months, total crashes that were reported to the police was 152. For the second quarter, we had 180, and for the third quarter, 171. When we say total crashes reported, it tells us these are maybe the few that have been reported. We cannot account for those who did not report. It looks like there was a decrease in the number of crashes that we recorded for the third quarter. But for the second quarter, there was an increase. Let's look at persons that were killed or have been killed in accidents. For the first quarter, we had 68, second quarter, 75, and the third quarter, 53. We were lucky over here, we recorded a decrease.
He commended drivers of the Ahafo corridor for recording less road crashes over the period, but charged drivers of the Tichiman corridor to ensure safety, especially during the Yuletide. The MCE for Sunafo North, Mohammed Kwekudoku, who officially launched a campaign for the Ahafo corridor, challenged drivers to obey road traffic regulations.
Now, the newly confirmed Bako MCE, Bukari Isahaku, has promised to resurrect a now defunct inter-ethnic peace committee in order to bring a final resolution to the long-standing ethnic dispute in the area. After a long struggle to find a municipal chief executive characterized by violence involving some NDC youth who rejected the president's nominee earlier, Amadou Karimo, members of the Boko Municipal Assembly last week voted to confirm Bukari Isahaku, a development practitioner by profession, as the new MCE. Our Upper East Regional correspondent, Osei, visited the new MCE at his residence after his confirmation, and this is what he exclusively told Joy News.
Boku municipality is happen to be one of the, especially one of the biggest districts or municipalities in Ghana in terms of economic potential. But for some time now, because of the conflict that has engulfed the place, there are a lot of problems within the municipality. So now we are enjoying peace. There is a need to consolidate the peace that is there. And one of the things I intend to do is that we have what we call the Inter-Ethnic Peace Committee that played a very good role in bringing peace in the municipality. But now that committee doesn't exist again. It's a kind of a defunct committee now. One of the things, the first step I want to do is to see how I can actually bring that committee back. And by bringing that committee back, try to source more funding in order to support the committee to work well.
Another bank worker has been killed in his home under bizarre circumstances. The 35-year-old branch manager of the Zenith Bank at Akonsombo, Kwesi Sechipura, was shot dead by unidentified gunmen Monday dawn. This comes after the murder of a Stanbic bank worker in Accra barely a month ago. Rather sad one there, but the National Health Insurance Scheme, which previously was registering a little over 4,000 persons, has registered more than 1 million subscribers this year. Officials say the Livelihood and Empowerment Program and other government social interventions has helped enroll the very poor and vulnerable persons in the various communities which otherwise could not have registered under the scheme.
In 2010, the National Health Insurance Scheme enrolled 117,295 indigents. This number, officials say, increased to 342,127 in 2011 and 3,993,000 in 2012. The 2013 indigents registration this year of about 1.12 million is the highest so far and represents approximately 280% increase over 2012 figures.
We try to absorb people in other government programs like safety or social protection programs, like people who are already in the LEAP program. We ensure that we absorb them into the scheme. Other programs like school feeding program, amongst other places, we decided to register a lot of school children also in deprived communities, and this together with other things we did, and the number is increased quite tremendously, and we are very happy with that. This is not the end. We want to improve. We want to do more. We want to ensure that we want to get to a point where we will have all people in Ghana covered.
The authority notes it hopes to expand its membership coverage and renewal of their insurance in 2014.
We hope to reach about 60% coverage of the country over a certain period of time. So extend the scope of our e-claim system. E-claims extend tremendously our biometric or instant ID card system. We started it this year. We also want to have very wide consultations and discussions on the capitation matter. We want to extend it to other parts of the country.
The National Health Insurance Scheme enroll people classified as very poor free of charge. These persons do not pay membership processing fees and annual premium. The cost of their membership is borne by government.
We'll take a quick break here. When we return, we'll bring you business.
Time now for some business reports with me, Abigail Adumakwenchi. Now, the festive season has heightened the fears of local poultry farmers over cheap imported frozen chicken dominating the market. The Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers is worried the long-standing challenge is yet to be resolved and is therefore asking government to quickly introduce a comprehensive policy to oversee the poultry industry.
Production of broiler chicken is on the low side. In fact, it has dwindled to a current position that we estimate to below 10% of the total market demand, which is beyond 200,000 metric tons. So if you take the 200,000 metric tons, it means that we are producing less than 10% of that. The rest is all coming from imports. We do not have clear-cut policies which map out long-term state plans for this. Added to that is also the absence of legislation for some of the very sensitive aspects of the value chain, especially the DO chicks production. That is, we don't have any hatchery laws which are regulating the operations of the hatcheries. And besides that, in terms of standards, yes, the Ghana Standards Board has come up with some standards, but the administration of these standards and also the monitoring of them is lacking. We should also be looking at our financial industry. One of the challenges that the farmers face is inappropriate financing packages which are put out there to support them. They should begin to look at the poultry industry as a unique industry with unique packages. And I tell you, if they begin to do that, it will be a gold mine for them. So government policy one side, then the financial industry also on another side. And then our brothers who are importing should also team up with us, tell us, grow. And then we will take it, we will market, and we are in business.
Well, the Bank of Ghana has been advised to come out with a regulatory support framework to govern the operations of microfinance institutions in the country. Some operating microfinance companies who are making this appeal say drastic changes must be made to the framework to save the industry from collapse. They concern that microfinance industry is losing its public credibility and needs the attention of government to get public acceptability. The present free entry into the sector, according to them, is a potential threat to the growth of the industry, which handles a large chunk of the country's economy. They are therefore asking the central bank to prepare a draft supervision and protection code that would be adopted by all microfinance institutions for their operations. Now, away from that, Minister of Trade and Industry Haruna Idrisu says government will commit up to 1 million Ghana cedis next year to revamp the Northern Star Tomato Factory at Pralugu in the Upper East region, which has been defunct for some time now. The Trade Minister made this known after inaugurating a 7-member interim management board of the factory at Pralugu in the Upper East region on Monday. Upper East regional correspondent Albert Sore's report.
The 7-member interim management board for the Northern Star Tomato Factory is made up of 6 men and a lady and will be chaired by Donatus Akamugri. The swearing-in of the interim management board by the Trade Minister is expected to kickstart the process of revamping the Northern Star Tomato Factory, which has been non-functional for several years. Trade and Industry Minister Haruna Idrisu said government is committing a lot of resources next year into getting the Pralugu tomato factory back on track and also to improve agricultural trade in the Upper East region.
The commitment of government in 2014 will be to spend up to 1 million Ghana cedis in getting Pralugu tomato factory or the Northern Star Tomato Factory much more viable and efficient. We will re-equip, rehabilitate and modernize some of your equipments with those funding, which I believe will be provided by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And it must also be noted that government should not just be blamed for poor weather performance. We are at the problem associated with weather can certainly not be blamed on the government of Ghana. If yields are not forthcoming because of bad weather, that should be attributed to bad weather.
Haruna Idrisu later toured the factory together with the Upper East Regional Minister and was obviously not impressed with the state of the factory.
And I should be disappointed and ashamed that even though we have a Northern Star Tomato Factory, weather vagaries, weather challenges have not supported the production of tomatoes, and it's an imperative for government to invest in irrigation infrastructure for year-round farming for all the farmers in this area. So whether there are rains or poor rains, you can't be dependent on that irrigation facility. But I'm not a happy person seeing that it is not viable, it is not as functional and operational as it should be.
According to the minister, serious work on the Northern Star Tomato Factory is expected to begin by the first quarter of 2014. Albert Soris reports.
In other news, the Sarkodie Sarkodie Chamber of Commerce and Industry SDCCI says it is happy that the petroleum sector local content and participation policy has been passed into law. The SDCCI is therefore entreating all its members, all players in the industry, to respect this law by submitting their local content plans to the committee on time so that the Petroleum Commission can also make it public in good time. This law mandates the Petroleum Commission to establish a local content committee, which among others will be responsible for ensuring that investors in the industry comply with all necessary provisions that concern the operations, including provision of their local content plans. And that'll be all for business. I'm Abigail Adumakwenchi. Do stay on for more news.
All right, let's chase the very latest in the world of sports. And the Ghana FA launched its first football directory this afternoon at its headquarters in Accra. The directory put together by the FA's Research and Information Committee captures the history of Ghana football, structures and operations of the Ghana FA and affiliate bodies. Ghana FA Kwasi Nyantechi, who launched the directory at the event, tells Joy Sports the compilation is a major milestone that will serve the country's football fraternity.
It's very important for us. You know, this is the first time that we're coming up with such a publication that serves as a one-stop shop for all relevant information on Ghana football, the clubs and the GFA. And it will be a very useful reference point for researchers, for all persons who are interested in the development of football in our country. I believe that as media men, practitioners of football management, as general football fans, everybody should be interested in this publication, and it will serve as a very good reference document in your commentaries, in your researches, and in the course of your week.
Now, the victorious 1991 Black Starlet squad was honoured at the first Ghana National Juvenile Colts Awards held at the Coconuts Grove Hotel in Accra over the weekend. The team was recognised alongside over 30 Colts football stakeholders, including administrators, Colts clubs and the Ghana Football Association President Kwasi Nyantechi. Joy Sports cameras were present and captured this.
Partner the GFA to revive coast. I think that this group deserve a lot of commendation, and we need to clap for them. They know what their fathers stood for, and today, wherever our old man is, will be proud of what his children are trying to do. And I want to assure them that the Ghana Football Association will assist them and support them and cooperate with them to make sure that this dream becomes a reality.
We still stay with the, Black Stars and traveling to Brazil. A lot is taking place, and Kemfor Travel and Tours have announced unique hospitality packages for Ghanaians interested in traveling to Brazil to witness the 2014 World Cup. Amongst the packages announced at the launch-themed 2014 Destination Brazil is a dedicated chartered flight to all match venues during the tournament. Now, operations manager of Kemfor Group of Companies, Kofi Poku, has been speaking to Joy Sports.
We want to let the fans know ahead of time for them to be adequately prepared, because everybody hears that Brazil is expensive. Yes, but I believe that if you're able to organize yourself on time, you would be able to meet whatever is required of you to go to Brazil. Even if you look at our package, I think it's on the lower side, and it is on the lower side because we have been able to charter a flight that is going to leave Ghana straight to Brazil. It means you're not going to Europe to connect or anything of such, which is very expensive. And we have taken into consideration all that. That is why we have come out with this package. And this package is not for all the matches too. It's for the group stages matches, because we don't know as to whether we're qualifying for the quarterfinals, we won't be able to bring any package. So this is just the starter. Now, we have made provision for subsequent, games and accommodation and all that. But like I'm saying, this is the starting point. So that is what we can talk about for now.
That'll be all for sports tonight. My name is George Ade Jr. Gifty joins us with more. You have a good night.
Sports was brought to you in association.
Okay, time now for what we do. Showbiz. Now, the 2013 edition of the Ghana Gospel Industry Awards was held at the National Theatre, with gospel artist Joyce Blessing picking up the enviable Artist of the Year award.
The night saw gospel lovers gathered to celebrate gospel singers in Ghana. Patrons enjoyed thrilling performances from some billed artists. Some of the winners couldn't help but express their joy.
This is not the end of everything, but I think this is not the first time. The very first year I had this, and the same thing happened the second year and third year as well. So the challenge is I have to keep on doing the good work, and then, I know Ghana loves me. So if we do the good work, Ghana knows the good work.
I'm glad to be alive to see this day, and it's really an encouragement for ministers of the gospel, and that when you do a good thing, it's so rewarding. And I'm so glad. And we are thankful to Adom FM for instituting this kind of awards.
Typical of events, patrons had sentiments which they did not hesitate to share with us.
There is more room for improvement. The program was nice and successful. I love the whole thing, the concept, the people who present the awards, and then the performance. Everything was perfect. I love everything about the program.
Frankly speaking, I'm not happy at all, because the way I was expecting the show to be, I think I'm not seeing it that way. So I'm kind of disappointed, because a whole gospel show, and then if you see the kind of people in the room, we didn't come at all, we didn't attend at all. Yeah.
The Ghana Gospel Industry Awards is an annual event put together by sister station Adom of Multimedia Group Limited.
Okay, let's do some other stories now. Award-winning Ghanaian rapper Michael Owusu, known by his stage name as Sarkodie, released a new album. Some 15,000 fans joined the Sarkodie release concert at the Accra Sports Stadium.
Sarkodie release concert, which was held over the weekend, saw fans of the rapper gather at the open space of the Accra Sports Stadium to support him as he released his third album, Sarkodie. The album release concert featured some of his counterpart musicians he had collaborated with. One of them is Joey B, with whom he did the newest song, Tonga, which got the fans crying for more. Patrons, as usual, could not hold back their comments.
I came out here to support Sarkodie, incredible album. Joey B signed on to Black Avenue Music, his first time performing Tonga, so we had to come and see it. It was crazy. The crowd called for a repeat. That was amazing. I've never seen it happen before in Ghana ever in my life. So it's a big thing. Ghana Music, Joey B, big ups. Salute everybody that came out to support, everybody that came out to support Sarkodie's album launch.
I'm very happy. I've been supporting Sarkodie since I don't know when. And Sarkodie, this album whole launch thing, this routine, this yearly thing has become very like, something that everybody knows that, it goes on like every year, So I'm very happy with Sarkodie.
Okay, so on that Sarkodie note, we end Showbiz, and that's it for the bulletin. Our top stories for this. Okay, that's it for Showbiz.
Showbiz was brought to you by Airtel. Enjoy the lifestyle of a superstar. Just keep using your Airtel line and win BMW cars, trips to Brazil, cash prizes, and Samsung Galaxy S4 phones. If you didn't mind, never mind.
Bulletin, our top stories for this are: the Public Utility Regulatory Commission has announced adjustment in electricity and water tariffs for the first quarter of 2014. While electricity consumers will pay 9.3%, water bills will go up by 6.8% under the automatic adjustment formula. The committee tasked with investigating the tussle between the FDA and Tobinco Pharmaceuticals has faulted the FDA for lapses in administrative processes that allow Tobinco to take advantage of the system. Residents of some resettlement communities of the Bui Dam in the Bono-Ahafo region are unhappy they are losing their livelihoods. They claim they have less fertile lands to work on, while fishermen complain of traveling long distances to fish. In business, local poultry farmers are worried over cheap poultry product imports. And on the international front, African Union troops have opened fire on protesters in the Central African Republic, killing one person. My name is Gifty Andropia. Many thanks for your time. Do enjoy your evening.